facing one of the largest behemoths in the media sector. A large merger and acquisition that we are seeing in the media and entertainment sector, and that is being created by two large units, two large companies, Reliance Industries and Walt Disney Company. So the details and most anticipated deal this has been, and the details are out right now. In fact, Reliance and Disney's strategic joint venture has been announced, where Reliance is going to invest 11,500 crore rupees in this particular joint venture. Now, hold your breath. This particular joint venture, as per the media release by Reliance Industries, is valued at $8.5 billion in terms of post money. So mark that particular point. And also in terms of the structuring, Reliance Industries is going to own 16.34% in this joint venture. 46.82% will be held by Viacom18 and 36.84% by Disney. Now also remember that when we talk about the coming together of these two media giants in India, they're going to create a behemoth. The revenues for the combined entity as of last year was about 25,000 odd crore rupees. And we're talking about a combined television entertainment channels, which are in numbers over 100. We are talking about the streaming platforms like Hotstar, Disney, as well as Jio Cinema. And also remember that Disney owns the majority stake in Tata Play. And on the other hand, sports. Let's talk about that. Uday Shankar's pet here in Viacom18 as well. And sports assets and portfolio is going to be the largest that we have seen, whether it's an Indian or international sporting event. So we are talking about, say, IPL, as well as ICC, BCCI rights, as well as even NBA, Olympics, and even Kabaddi, Pro Kabaddi League. So we are talking about a huge, really, platform being created in media and entertainment with a large chunk in sports. Mangalam is with me. Mangalam, what do you make of this large transaction?
Well, two things. One, this transaction was widely reported, widely anticipated, and now we have it. There were multiple reports at multiple times valuing the company anywhere between $4 billion to about $8 to $10 billion as well. But now we do have the data that it is valued at around $8 billion itself. Importantly, not only will it have 25,000 crores in revenue as a combined entity, if you compare that to all the others, we have Z, which is around 8,000 crores in terms of revenue, Times Group, estimated revenue of close to around 8,000 crores, Sony close to around 7,000 crores as well. And then you have Sun TV, which reported its last 12-month revenues of close to 3,800 crores. So head and shoulders above the size, in terms of revenue when it comes to the media industry itself. Two more details that we have, it will be chaired by Nita Ambani, and then we will have Uday Shankar as well as the CEO of the combined entity. We do have Shireen joining us as well. Uday Shankar will be the vice chairperson of the JV. Nita Ambani will be the chairperson of the joint venture itself. Shireen, it was expected and now it's finally happened. Mukesh, Ambani and Mickey Mouse have shaken hands.
Yes, and it is a big one, Mangalam, as you rightly pointed out. This has been expected and anticipated, but it is now a done deal. Reliance Industries, Viacom18 and Walt Disney have signed a binding definitive agreement to form that joint venture. Viacom18 will be merged into Star India, and the company will invest 11,500 crore rupees into the joint venture. Once again, for the benefit of our viewers who might just be joining in, Reliance will hold about 16.34% in the joint venture. Viacom will hold 46.82% and Disney will hold 36.84%. The joint venture will be controlled by Reliance and of course this will bring in a massive transformation as far as the media and the entertainment space is concerned. But Mangalam, just a word, as far as the valuation is concerned, Reliance clearly seems to have driven a hard bargain.
Reliance has driven a hard bargain, Shireen, because earlier, the valuations were much in double digits as far as, the numbers are concerned, over $10 billion itself. The hard bargain comes for a couple of factors as well. One, the fact that, Disney's in India business wasn't doing particularly well. If you look at the Disney Hotstar subscribers, over the last year or so, between September 2022 and September 2023, nearly 2.5 crore subscribers had deserted the Disney Plus Hotstar platform, and this coincided with the rise that we saw of Jio Cinema subscribers as well. Three key reasons for that. The first one was the stiff competition that Hotstar faced from Jio Cinema's content. Secondly, they didn't have IPL as an offering on Disney Plus Hotstar, and HBO content went away to Jio Cinema as well. So all these factors, along with its own business not doing particularly well in India, caused Reliance to go ahead and drive that hard bargain. And in doing so, Reliance will also get the benefit of all the sports properties that Disney Plus Hotstar and Disney's India business enjoys in the country itself right now. So those are a bunch of things that we'll be watching out for too. We do have with us Professor Raghunath Subramaniam of IIM Bangalore joining in with his view on this. Mr. Subramaniam, what do you make of this deal? A big media behemoth that has been created with this, the kind of impact that this will have on the industry, and the kind of synergy benefits that you see in this joint venture.
Yeah, so first of all, I think we should congratulate the sports addicts and the binge viewers that we have in our country, that this merged entity will really create such a structural disruption that all of them who have been wishing to actually have top content and live content come up to them, that entire aspiration is going to be met by this merged entity. So I think as far as customers are concerned, this is obviously going to be very good news. While on the other hand, if you were to look at the entire ecosystem, that's going to be under pressure. So given that this merged entity will create a complete plethora of content, and this might then be viewed by all the competitors and those who are also in the telco business to see what kind of a challenge that they're going to come up with, because this is something to do also with the advertising revenue market share. And if you were to look at the other players, they're going to actually fret about this change in the dynamics of the market. So overall, I would say that this is great news for the viewers, and for the guys who are part of the system. They have to again rethink their strategy in terms of their own position.
That's right, Professor Subramaniam. In fact, competition commissions, approval will be very, very critical aspect of getting regulatory approvals for this, because in both television as well as the streaming platforms, both combined entity is likely to cross the threshold and the market share of 40%. So we need to see that one. But Karan Taurani is also there with us. He's joining us on the phone line. Karan, what do you make of the investments that Reliance is going to make and the stake? And in terms of valuations, how do you peg this deal?
So I think this is ideally good news for the industry, because on the linear TV side, there is a struggle clearly in terms of growth. And I think both these players coming together will make a better inroad or a better growth in terms of potential market share. So that side, there is some kind of a protection wherein they can, kind of have a further gain on market share because of such a strong presence. They've got more than 40% of TV ad revenue market share as a console group. On the OTT side also, there is some respite because the business right now is highly fragmented with multiple players, and the content cost is very hefty, with no platforms making, EBITDA profit since the last 6 to 7 years, since the launch of 4G, affordable 4G rather. So I think there will be some respite there. You'll have a very large catalog of content, across the various genres. You call it films, web series, movies, catch-up TV, sports, everything put together. So, you could probably get a path to profitability over the medium to long term, basis visibility and basis how things shape up on digital. The third impact is on sports. They're going to become very big. They'll become monopolistic in sports. I think on the linear TV side and on the digital side, they could command about 75 to 80% market share as far as sports advertising is concerned. And that's how large they are in terms of the entity. And lastly, I think this is also a negative impact in terms of the other telecom players. And I think if you look at, content has always been a value add for telecom as a segment. And with this kind of a proposition, I think Airtel won't have too many options in terms of, providing more content as a value add to their customers, because they'll control a large, variety of content through both these entities. So I think this is the potential impact on the ecosystem as a whole.
All right, take that point, Karan. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving us all those details. I, request you to stay with us on this. Shireen, back to you. I mean, Behemoth is created. Now we've understood that both of them will create, control a fair amount of, market share and get the advertiser share along with the benefits to the viewers.
Yes, Mangalam, and once again, just going over the details, the transaction is expected to be completed in the last quarter of calendar year 24 or the first quarter of calendar year 25. But, we've been seeing Bob Iger on our CNBC US with our colleagues there talking about the possibility of what happens to their assets in India. And I just want to go over what Bob Iger has said post this transaction being inked. He says that India is the world's most populous market, and we're excited for the opportunities that this joint venture will provide to create long-term value for the company. Reliance has a deep understanding of the Indian market and consumer, and together we will create one of the country's leading media companies, allowing us to better serve consumers with a broad portfolio of digital services, entertainment and sports content. Prakash Diwan also with us. Prakash, it was of course anticipated. It is now a done deal. As Mangalam has been tweeting, Mickey and Mukesh shake hands. Prakash.
Hello.
Prakash, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you, Shireen. Yes. Yeah. So, no, absolutely. I think it's a epic, deal in the sense it kind of heralds a very new era of sorts for the Indian entertainment and telecommunication sector as a whole. And, while we might weigh we value the entire media and communication sector currently in India at under $30 billion, and there's just probably 8.5 or whereabouts, it is significant in terms of what it can do, given what Reliance carries in terms of, its strength as a carrier as well. So it's content and carrier getting together in a way which is so formidable. That I think we will see that that entire paradigm move to a very different bundled services kind of a thing for telecom as well, and for the entertainment, media, and mass communication, the sector, whether you take sports, general entertainment, all of that will now have dynamics which are going to be extremely difficult for others to be able to replicate. So it puts them puts Reliance and, of course, the entire JV in a very formidable position. Of course, I would definitely want to wait to see the Competition Commission, let this go through because of the sheer strength. But I think given the size vis-a-vis the overall market, there could be a justification that this is good for the industry in terms of the right kind of consolidation. So, yeah, and Mangalam is right. This is going to be almost like Mickey coming into India in a way which is irreversible now.
Yes. Deven Choksi also with us. Deven, many thanks for joining us. As Prakash said, it's an epic deal, at least as far as the media and entertainment landscape is concerned. But Deven, a quick word as far as valuations are concerned, and again to the point that was being made about the hard bargain that's been driven. And of course, we've also seen a change as far as, where Disney's assets found themselves over the last few years in India. But I think ballpark, if I remember correctly, about $3.5 billion is what we seem to see this deal having been done at, or of course the peak valuation in 2018 was about $15 billion as far as Disney's assets were concerned. What do you make of this deal as well as the contours?
Hi, Shireen. Good evening. Well, I think the numbers are to be consumed. Then 70,000 crore worth of transaction value has been assumed here in this case, against which I think if you look at the current proposition of what exactly I think the Reliance's media assets are commanding. The media assets of Reliance represented through Network 18, TV18, commanding about 21,000 crore worth of value. in the market capitalization point. And I think this entire business, I think if one has to look at through the Viacom18, which is now getting into the Star Alliance, total valuation, I think extrapolating this number, Viacom18 around 46-47% stake, Reliance around 16% stake, somewhere around 64% stake put together within the group. Out of 70,000 crore worth of value, I think 45,000 crore worth of value is being seen, I think, coming to the Reliance group per se. Against, I think, the market value of Network 18 TV18 of around 21,000 crore. This particular value is, I think, exactly double or more than double. So from that perspective, if you look at it, I think the transaction looks, I think, quite an impressive one from the point of view of investors of Reliance's media assets. I think TV18 Network 18 as far as that activity goes. Of course, we all know that I think in the Viacom18, Reliance along with TV18, they are holding about 71%. So obviously, I think this particular deal is giving this clarity of the valuation, as I understand.
Yeah, yes, those are the quick comments that have come in as far as the valuations are concerned. But Karan, going back again now to what potentially this behemoth could see in terms of opportunities, and what it could change as far as the landscape is concerned with the might of these two giants converging now.
So in terms of potential landscape, as I said, India as a country is, a price-sensitive country. The customers here are more value-driven. I think bundling is going to be the way ahead now. And, we can't forget the fact that Jio has got a very huge, connect in terms of the last mile, in terms of a large customer base, through the mobile offerings. And now I think they are expanding into 5G, expanding into 5G wireless as well. So putting all these things into perspective, you might have a Jio Prime sort of a subscription model wherein you have a wide variety of content. And I think this is going to put pressure on the entire OTT landscape in India. It'll put pressure on the global OTT giants who would want to scale up their subscriber base. They would want to, partner with this entire ecosystem, in terms of having a larger reach. It could put pressure on players like Sony and Zee, which have got presence in OTT as well. So I'm saying that, and digital is a market where winner takes it all, right? So I think they are going to really crack this model in a very efficient manner, wherein they're going to price, this at an appropriate range, which is kind of appealing to the value-centric customer and, build a scale, from there, given the kind of distribution access that they have.
Devin, you wanted to come in on what you just heard there from Karan?
Yes, I think importantly, both broadcasting assets as well as internet assets, which are going to be driving the business for the Disney Alliance along with, is going to be a game changer in my viewpoint. Few things. On one side, in the broadcasting assets, you would have about 100 plus channels, I think, which is going to be part of this entire deal. In the advertisement market share, if you want to talk it out, then it would be somewhere around 45% of the revenue market, I think, which would come to them because of this number of channels that they hold between them with this alliance. And the most important, and that is where I feel that this deal is meaningful, is going to be because of the media rights that they have. Both Disney as well as Reliance put together would have significant amount of control over the media rights, the gaming rights, which they are having, where the profit margins are as high as 40 to 50%. So this is where the game changer is happening in this kind of space. In case of Star's earlier situation, I think they haven't been able to capitalize very beautifully. I think this is where probably the next round of difference will be. Last but not the least, and according to me, it is very important, which is, I think, a disruptive in nature fully. Reliance has got the last mile connectivity, internet purpose through this mobile on the Jio platform. And that is where I believe that I think the amount of footage that they get, including in the last IPL season that we saw, I think is going to make the difference as far as their revenue stream is concerned. So, in my viewpoint, I think this is a win-win combination in a way. Dominating combination, if you want to call it as. I think this is going to probably create a very large size of revenue book. I would not be surprised if Reliance is aiming at, I think, targeting a complete revenue book of around 60 to 70,000 crores going forward from this joint property.
So, Devin, these are large numbers. Prakash Diwan, I want to understand, how will you now rate the listed other media competing companies like Zee Entertainment, which has its own set of other issues as well after Sony deal called off, and also Sun TV? How would you rate them? And does this disruption also mean that they could go for a re-rating downwards?
So, Nisha, clearly this creates a huge, gap between the leaders and the other incumbents, given the fact that they are still catering to, at least he used to be much more universally equipped, but it's become a very niche kind of a play. And of course, Sun TV has been fairly regionalized in the last many years. What it does is that it kind of gives a very far wider and deeper representation for any investor if they were to look at the Reliance media and entertainment piece rather than going to any other place. So I think it's almost like, the dominance that you have in some of the other sectors like airlines or passenger cars or something. We've seen that. So we'll align to those kind of a thing where the number one player has a lion's share and then the second, third marginal players would kind of take the rest. What's going to happen is the ability for this JV to be able to grow from here on, and I think Karan had mentioned that in terms of how investors would see it, is what people put money behind. It's not just footprint or size, but for example, given the strong stronghold on the sports vertical, sports side of broadcasting of any kind of a communication media piece, you will probably have whoever plays in the country. Reliance would win. This is how it would be. I know I'm probably making it sound very simplistic, but any kind of a broadcast of any kind of a sporting event, that will probably make things easier. And this is where the first step for this kind of a dominance was actually laid when the IPL came their way. So we've seen how they've been able to evolve that into such a profitable business, and that is something which is recurring. So markets like that, investors like that, and they would see value in something like that rather than look at Zee with its fair share of issues or a Sun TV with that very, very small footprint that it has. Of course, it has its own content library, but then that's fairly restrictive in terms of growth going forward.
Right. It's also an opportune time to bring in a veteran opinion maker. Vallabh Bhansali joins us. Mr. Bhansali, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. For the benefit of our viewers as well as you, if you're just joining in, Reliance Industries, Viacom18 and Walt Disney have signed a binding agreement, which was expected. They've decided to ink a joint venture where Viacom18 will be merged into Star India. Reliance will own 16.34% in the joint venture, Viacom 46.82%. And Disney 36.84%. It's been called an epic combination. Mr. Bhansali, what do you believe this could potentially do to the media and entertainment landscape in India with both these behemoths coming together?
So the good thing is that India, as it emerges and finds its place in the best echelons of the world, we need companies in all sectors which have the capability to understand what is emerging, shape it, and contribute to it. And I know Reliance for now, I don't know how many years, and Disney, of course, I've seen and admired from far, that these are long-term players. These are big visionary players. And I think that is the exciting part, that India is a country where a joint venture partner makes a lot of sense. And if you get somebody who is aligned to that long-term vision, variety, creativity, etc., that's very, very good omen for the country. So instead of the size, I see this character of both the companies coming together. And I think if you see Reliance, for example, how small they started. They started with the news in the 90s, just a small news tracker, something, I don't remember the name. And then they kept on acquiring companies, and from news to whatnot. And that's how, they've taken 30 years to reach where they have reached. This is the phenomenal part.
Well, Mr. Bhansali, you spoke about these two behemoths coming together and exhibiting their long-term commitment as well as their commitment to scale. In fact, that's exactly what both Mukesh Ambani and Bob Iger have said. In fact, let me just quote to you what Bob Iger has said post this transaction being inked. He says, India is the world's most populous market. We're excited for the opportunities that this joint venture will provide to create long-term value for the company. Reliance has a deep understanding of the Indian market and the consumer, and together we will create one of the country's leading media companies, allowing us to better serve consumers with a broad portfolio of digital services, entertainment and sports content. So, you know, there was a possibility of Disney actually exiting the country, but it is now reaffirming its faith in India and staying on as part of this joint venture.
That's the point, that, you know, not only these two companies have come together, but they have both made very serious commitment to it. And so financial part is one thing, so I'm not wearing a financial hat just now, but I'm just saying that, look, you know, when you have less, you have just, you know, you still have illiterate areas in the country. You still have, you know, you don't have variety of entertainment. You don't have, you know, rich education in so many places. And how, you know, by creating their characters and cartoons, how they have helped so many aspects of life. And Reliance, see, this India is a very special country in the sense that you do not have an English market as large as Indian, you know, anywhere in the world. America has a 360 million people population. India is 100, and English is emerging as a prominent language along with Hindi or regional languages. So, you know, both of them have a large possibility of multiple languages, sophistication, layers and genres of, you know, creativity and entertainment. So I think more than just the size, of course, is very, very important. And given India's creativity, how they will be able to use Indian talent to go global. And Disney would be looking at that only, that not India as only as a market, but also as a source of, you know, software and content. So it's a merger with the tremendous potential and possibility.
Well, you know, you said it's a merger with tremendous potential and possibility, and you also alluded to the fact that it could have possibilities outside of catering to the needs of the domestic market. In fact, global aspirations as well, not just on the media side, but the sports side particularly, Mr. Bhansali. You know, with these two giants coming together, all kinds of possibilities open up, don't they?
Absolutely. See, Disney does not have a large, you know, sports portfolio, but Reliance has now with you know, Hotstar and the JioStar, they have shown what can be done, and it's amazing. I think their OTT growth is probably, I think, most record-breaking in the world. So as technologies change, as a country emerges from, you know, nowhere to third largest economy and more than third largest, with an aspiring population, with deep understanding of you know, Reliance. So when Reliance went into telecom, they already were looking at so many markets. You're now seeing finance emerge. Now you're seeing media emerge. Many, many things will emerge. If they don't emerge, I'll be very surprised. And therefore, you know, they are bringing an appropriate partner into each of those businesses. And Disney is one of the most celebrated. So my point of talking about long-term is only those players become long-term who have a, you know, capability to renew their vision, flexibility to change their strategy. They have the opportunism to grab things as they come up. So whether we talk sports, whether we talk other countries, whether we talk, you know, I mean, digital, these are the players. First, you need thinking first. You need vision. Then you need attitude. Then comes money and strategy. So I think both these companies have what not many companies have. And then they, of course, have resources and, you know, global reach. Now Reliance has global reach with Disney. So this is quite exciting, very, very exciting for the country, and very happy for both the companies.
Well, exciting times indeed. Mangalam?
Well, exciting times indeed, Shireen. You know, we were just looking at a couple of data points on this deal, and what was most interesting was the kind of properties in the sports business both the entities will hold together in the sports and entertainment itself. There will be properties like IPL, ICC, BCCI. You have the Indian Super League for football. You have the Pro Kabaddi League, you have EPL, NBA and Olympics. Can't see any sports event that is left out of this deal itself. Importantly, there will be over 100 TV channels, 2 streaming platforms, Disney Plus, Hotstar and Jio Cinema. I'd like to know, what happens going forward to both these offerings, Jio Cinema as well as Disney Plus, Hotstar. Would there be a comprehensive plan that would be given or not? Karan is still with us. Karan, in the numbers that, Mr. Bansali, what are the kind of, synergies that you would foresee and the kind of scale that this can go from an already large scale that both these players operate at? What are the imaginations here?
So, see, we've gone from television to digital, and it just is starting. The digital part is just starting. So from, from large screen to small screen, from time-wise, you've gone down to 40 seconds. And the genres that have come in the new formats are still very limited. And as you add value, whether it is financial, whether it is health, whether it is travel, whether it is, many, many things, global experience, and if you look at the character of, the kind of content Disney is associated with, the kind of seriousness and solemnity that Reliance has in all its work, what sort of things they get associated with. So this understanding of the local character, local culture. Culturally, both the companies have similarities.
Right.
With that, I think they will create content which will be a lot more appropriate. So sports is one part. So, Reliance coming into, you mentioned some of the sports. But, for example, if India has the aspiration to do much better in Olympics, now how do you vet that aspiration? How do you cater to it? How do you project those emerging talent? How do you identify that talent? So you're going to, go way below the skin into each of these areas and help build the country. And I know Mr. Ambani, he is so passionate about building India.
Right.
So they're going to bring the best of Disney to fulfill some of those dreams and possibilities.
Right. Vallabh Bansali, you made a very interesting point about cultural integration. That is the cornerstone of any alliance and M&A between two companies. And here we are talking about two global, one global and one domestic company. Now, just when you wear your hat as a deal maker, Vallabh Bansali, a lot has happened in the media and entertainment space in the M&A. We had another transaction called off, which could have created a media behemoth, and now this large deal. How do you see this particular play in M&A, in M&E sector?
So, life is dynamic and things keep changing. So I wouldn't want to go into what has happened, not happened, happens tomorrow, breaks tomorrow. It's a different issue. But in M&A, I would just see this match of culture, match of attitude as being very, very important. So the market complementarity is, of course, very important. But a lot of times you have complementarity in the market, but then, marriages don't work. And therefore, from my point of view, given the possibility of India's market and the need in many areas, this coming together of cultures, the matching of minds, and they have looked at each other for a very long period of time. Disney has been, growing quietly in India, many times thinking whether we stay, we go. And I think this deal, it checks so many boxes for them that they couldn't find somebody who could really match their, their ability to bring experience, variety, etc. to the table. So I'm very excited about those aspects that this is a very compelling merger, not only in media, but it's a very compelling merger amongst all mergers. And as India emerges, so we will have movement on the product side that, we will want to do a lot more hardware from semiconductor to mobile phones and cars and so on. But the growth in the services side and the software side is very, very important.
Right.
And how we keep entertainment world healthy, solemn, appropriate to our culture, etc., is very important. And from that point of view, I may be repeating myself, I'm very happy to see that these two houses, which have shown this cultural sensitivity, coming together.
Mr. Bansali, the viewers won't call it repeating, but reiterating. Thank you so much for chiming in with your words of wisdom on this epic deal that has just been announced, as we call it here. Mukesh shakes hands with Mickey Mouse itself. We'll ask Karan the last question when it comes to the numbers itself. Karan, you know, the combined investments of the two companies in the sports business alone have been pegged at around $10 billion, with IPL alone accounting for around $6 billion and $3 billion for the ICC rights itself. What are the kind of synergies that you see with the numbers that you have of these two entities in terms of revenue scalability, in terms of cost savings, and at the same time, some sort of cross-pollination revenue coming in from the businesses that Reliance has, which may add to you know, their overall revenue, be it Geo, be it the retail arm, the advertising revenue, etc. What kind of synergies do you see here?
So there are multiple synergies in place here. I think the first and foremost is, thankfully we'll have one platform giving IPL both on TV and digital. Because of, IPL being available free on Jio Cinema, TV saw a big negative impact in terms of ad spends on IPL. And now I think the bargaining power will move more favorably towards the platform side, wherein advertisers who want to advertise on IPL would have to probably, use bundled offering here in terms of advertising the proposition on TV and on digital. So this is one very big synergy. You could see IPL losses kind of coming down on a YY basis because of this one very big factor. The second factor in terms of synergy would be technology side. So if you look at Disney, I think the kind of user experience they've got, the kind of technology they've got, the kind of content they've got, that will augur very well, for Jio as a company, and even in terms of Jio Cinema's digital offering that they have. So I think technology is going to be like a very big advantage. And as you all know that, user experience is the key here for OTT platforms, for customer retention and for customer acquisition. Third thing is going to be synergies on the linear TV side as well. So I think because they have such a large control and, Star is a market leader across many large regional genres in the South. Star is also a market leader in certain urban genres as well. And so is Colors, right? The kind of recall they have. So I think advertisers who want to advertise on TV, will not have much of a choice, but to go with these kind of players. So you see synergies in terms of advertisement in terms of pricing as well. Lastly, I think there will also be cost synergies, which could come in the form of, employee costs, which could come in the form of other expenses, even content costs for that matter, which is there. And also there'll be very big synergies to do on the content side for digital, because digital is something, which is kind of making FT losses right now. All platforms are bleeding because of higher content costs. So some kind of arrest on content cost growth will also come because of this.
All right, Karan, we'll let you put some ink to paper and bring out your report, which fine-tunes all these numbers, etc. as well. And on that note, we'll thank all the gentlemen for joining us and giving us their quick take on this mega deal. Professor Subramaniam, Prakash, Karan, and Devin Choksi, along with Vallabh Bansali as well. So here it is, the big deal has been announced. Shireen, back to you again. Like we said, Mukesh shakes hands with Mickey.
Well, that... Mangalam, I think you've given us the headline of this evening, but it is a mega deal that's been in the making. It is now official. Of course, the fine print will be gone over very carefully and of course passed over, and we will need to wait to see all the regulatory approvals coming in. But it is the coming together of two giants of Disney shaking hands with Reliance and with Viacom forming a joint venture. This does change irreversibly the media, entertainment and sports landscape of India. Nisha and Mangalam, many thanks to the two of you as well for joining us and taking us through the contours of this deal as well as the significance and its impact. A lot more will be coming up right here on CNBC-TV18, but from all of us for now, thanks very much for watching.